Okay. Board of Health meeting for July 8th, 2020. We have a quorum to start our meeting. The first thing on our agenda is David LaJoy for 400 Pleasant Point Avenue. David, are you there?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, David.
Okay, it's a piece of property between Drummer Cove and Blackfish Creek, a small peninsula, heavily impacted by wetlands. And we have a coastal bank, flood zone, salt marsh, so forth. It's existing 3-bedroom house. There's no change in the use. It's an upgrade. The well is off-site up to the northwest of the property. And
It's not on the point, Pleasant Point water supply? No, it's not.
no,
No, okay.
and we have IA treatment because we're so close to the wetland. Need 2 variances from setbacks to the wetland. Be happy to answer any questions.
Nick,
Yeah.
did you have any questions?
Now I'm looking through the site here a second again, and the only question I had was really the water, because we thought maybe they were hooked up
And
to
we thought maybe they were on the Pleasant Point water supply, but no, the well is,
My understanding is they own the property to the west as well. And the well is on that property.
okay, because I don't see it marked on the plan at all.
So in the cul-de-sac area there's just a arrow saying it's over 100 feet to the locust well. See that in the cul-de-sac area?
I see it. Yes, David.
David, on the plan, you have a site, a section marked option.
Yeah, that's just to show that if we went to a different part on the property, we weren't going to significantly make any difference.
Okay. No, you really, that's extraordinarily hemmed in there.
Yeah.
You did a good job as far as doing, but I don't know if Gary has any, if he's got a chance to see the system you're putting in, if he has any comment.
You got to unmute yourself, Gar.
No, I haven't, unfortunately.
No, it looks like it's pretty, well, maybe Dave could explain a little bit, Dave, to Gary, so we can just get an idea what's going in there.
Good afternoon, Gary.
Hi, Dave.
Existing house, 3 bedrooms. Site's heavily impacted by a bunch of wetland areas. The well for the property is off the site to the northwest on property they own, directly abutting this one. 3-bedroom leach area, IA treatment with the Advantex. That's basically it.
Gotcha. Hillary, is there any issues? This is one of those really tight sites,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's super tight, and there is nowhere to go to get out of the way of the salt marsh. That we're farther from the coastal beach than we are from the salt marsh or the flood zone.
Right.
It's got salt marsh on all sides, coastal banks, and the beach.
And Dave, what's precipitating this request?
They have a cesspool system in the driveway down at the lower level, and they just want to get that upgraded.
It's a cesspool,
Commendable.
said?
Yes.
Yes. And how long has that cesspool been there?
No idea.
Okay,
I just want to grab the file for 1 second. Can you hold tight for 1 second?
sure.
Oh, it's just a well report. Okay.
Okay.
Anything that gets rid of cesspools is a good thing.
Absolutely.
No, it's definitely an upgrade, a very good upgrade. I don't think there's anything else to be done here, you know.
And
As
Dave, you
far
made
as the location,
job.
yeah.
This is that area is really, really tough.
For sure.
Hey, Taylor, do we know, is this a rental property?
I think they do rent it. Yes.
All right. Because I think this should remain on our radar as something to keep an eye on.
We also do have,
That, you know.
an email from Jude. Jude, do you want me to read the email because I haven't had a chance to look at it this morning, or do you want to just talk directly to us?
I'd like to just talk directly generally, but mostly to share the different plans. I don't know what you guys are looking at, so it's hard to know. But as you all say, it's really tight there. And somebody said earlier that they thought they were on the water system. They are not. So my question is, does that make a difference? Because there is talk, as I understand it, from my water company to expand the system, possibly down there. So not knowing how these things might be related, I wanted to sit in on this meeting and just make sure that's not a part of it, because we as the owners of that company haven't really been told what's going on. And the fact that two now come up in one meeting wanting variances, you know, like you said, thank you for asking what precipitated this, you know. So that's why I'm just, because you know, it is a public water system that goes down there. And if so, then it has all sorts of restrictions as well. And I have an Advantech system. I like it. If that's what they're putting in, great. My person who checks it once a year just told me that the state's getting a lot more strict. And therefore, my cost is going to go up every year with drag. But I'm just telling you this because I think whenever a homeowner picks a system, it's important to kind of, you know, make sure everyone knows what that is and there's no fear mongering about costs so that others might follow suit. I mean, I think it's great that they're upgrading, as you say. I haven't had any issues, but there is like a noise that you hear. So I would just want to share some anecdotal information. I don't know what variants they're doing. Is it just where the leach field is? Is that the issue? And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's the variance to the wetland. So it's the variance from the leach field to the salt marsh and the top of the coastal peak.
Right.
Plus, I think you have to understand, they would never be able to put a new system in without some AI treatment. So, I mean, I think noisy or whatever it is, the expense, I mean, they have to have an AI system there for this to work.
But it doesn't mean there'll be an increased flow or something then down the line. Okay. And you know, there was someone who had to put in such a system at the end of the public landing at Payne Hollow that was above ground. Is this above ground or below ground?
Below ground.
Below ground.
Below.
Is that the only option? It seems like pretty low lying there.
We haven't done the test holes yet. Oh, you know what? We have two test holes. They're just not shown on the plan.
I mean, I would just say that like if you required that at the end of Payne Hollow, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that close to the bay.
So
Excuse me, I did a property around the corner from this. And I used the estimated groundwater level for that onto this prior to doing the soil testing. So the leach area is 6 feet above the adjusted groundwater when it just has to be 5 feet. So we did.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
So I think it's the best plan we can get for this location.
Yes.
I agree.
Can I have a motion?
Yes. Someone will move to approve the Felco Plan number 20023 dated 6/20/20 and grant the two variances requested in the letter of 6/24/20 for the upgrade of a septic system to serve a 3-bedroom structure, a grandfathered non-conforming dwelling. I had one question, Dave, on that before I continue. You're showing the size of the lot at 2.8 acres. Do you have the upland versus lowland calculation?
You don't.
You don't.
I
Okay.
can get that to you if you'd like.
I can look on a map in the hallway, but I guess my question is, do you believe they have over 30,000 square feet of upland?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so then it is grandfathered non-conforming.
Not conforming.
Okay. Using the Advantech AX20 denitrification technology under the general use approval category, Subject to the following conditions. Design flow to be limited to 340 gallons per day to serve 3 bedrooms. No increase in habitable area without Board of Health review. No conversion of use without Board of Health review. Well water testing, deed recording, and IA monitoring.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. Nick seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There's a second.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, David, very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
You too.
Next, we have Jason Ellis for 36 Wigwam Street in Wellfleet. Jason, are you here?
He was here.
He was.
Yep. He might be 237, the number on the bottom, but he's muted. There you go.
I think that's me.
Okay.
So this is Jason Ellis representing Charing Crow for 36 Wigwam Street. This project is very similar to the one that you just saw from Dave LaJoy. This is an existing, 3-bedroom house. It has an older Title V system that was put in the early 80s that is root bound, so it's having some drainage issues with it. So we've designed a new septic system consisting of a new leach area, a new 1,500-gallon septic tank, and an Orenco Advantech system under general use.
Right.
We're looking for a 5-foot variance for the leach field to the roadside lot line. We're also looking for a 6-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the edge of the salt marsh, and a no reserve area. And there's no, there's no other increase in use or any proposed building permits or anything with this project. It's just a straight upgrade.
And the source of the water is a well?
Correct.
Yes, okay, great. Hillary, do you have any comments?
I don't have any comments.
Gary?
No comments.
Nick?
No, I thought it looked fine.
Okay, I have no comments. Can I have a motion?
Sure. Someone moves to approve the J.C. Ellis plan dated July 8th of 2020 and grant the 3 variances requested in the letter of 6/24/20 for the upgrade of a septic system to serve a 3-bedroom structure, a grandfathered non-conforming dwelling, using Advantex AX20 denitrification technology under the general use approval category. Design flow to be limited to 330 gallons per day to serve 3 bedrooms. No increase in habitable area without Board of Health review. No conversion of use without Board of Health review. Well water testing, deed recording, and IA monitoring, please.
Thank you.
Can
And I
say
second.
one thing? Sorry, can I say one thing? On the field card, it just gives 4 bedrooms. Just, I don't know.
There's 3.
Okay.
Jason, can I ask one question before you leave?
Sure.
What made you notice that the roots were in the system?
They Bobby Waters had gone out to pump the system, and when he
Okay.
pumped it, he noticed everything was full of roots, all the pipes
So it
and
hadn't
everything.
failed or
So
anything like that. There was no evidence that it had failed or anything. Okay.
I think it was backing up.
It was back
It
up.
was
Okay.
back- Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank
We should, just as a side note, I think that we should make sure that the assessor's card is correct in their bedroom count. So
Bedrooms.
if it's really 3, it should be
It is
adjusted.
3. It is 3. We have floor plans to show that it is 3.
Okay. Can I have a second on that motion? We didn't get a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Gary. All in favor? Any discussion first? No?
That seemed fine.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And-
Thank you, Jason. So the next one is yours too,
Thank you.
79 Springbrook Road.
And again, this is Jason Ellis representing Judith Taylor. So this is actually a a single wide trailer on this lot. This is down near the Eastham line. Springbrook has a kind of low. It's kind of low. It has a high groundwater issue throughout that whole area. So I had looked at the septic system that's existing there. It has a Title V system that was put in '95 that wasn't designed right. And it's actually, the leach field is actually in groundwater because there's a huge groundwater adjustment here. So it has an existing leach field and it has an existing 1,500 gallon septic tank. So what we're doing is we're proposing to put a new 1,500 gallon septic tank, a pump chamber, and a new 3-bedroom leach field. We do have to relocate the well about 10 or 12 feet away from the existing location to maintain the 100-foot separation. But we don't have any other well issues here. We're well outside the 100 feet to all the wells. There's a wetland to the south, but you can see that we're over the 200 foot from the riverfront area there. And we're just kind of tucking it in the corner there, 5 foot from the leach field to the lot line for parcel 37 and 5 feet from the leach field to the lot line for the road, and no reserve. That's it.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Jason, any distance to groundwater? You have a number for us, or?
Yep, it's on the second sheet, so it's 5.04 feet
Okay.
above the adjusted high groundwater level. It's a 2.5 foot adjustment.
Well, you got the slammer.
Okay. I don't have the plan in front of me. Thanks for answering.
No problem.
Okay.
God bless you.
Hillary, any questions?
No, it's much better than having a leach field sitting in groundwater, so. this
Right.
would be a
Okay.
welcome change.
Is there any plan to test the water a little more frequently, or did you think about that, or we've done it already now and,
I don't think it would be required here.
okay,
Okay.
great. So is
The new
someone
well,
here?
the new well would actually be required to be tested because it is going to be a property transfer.
Okay, gotcha.
So
All right.
and
Thank you.
relooking it. So you will get a fresh water test on that. So
Okay. So Hillary, do you want to make a motion?
Yes, of course. I move to approve the
Someone-
Jason Ellis plan dated June 30th of 2020 and grant the 3 variances requested in the letter of June 29th, 2020 for the upgrade of the septic system to serve a 3-bedroom structure, a grandfathered non-conforming dwelling. Design flow to be limited to 330 gallons per day to serve 3 bedrooms. No increase in habitable area without Board of Health review. No conversion of use without Board of Health review. Well water testing. And deed recording and an annual inspection of the pump.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Oh, okay.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jason.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda we're going to talk about is continue our discussion on short-term rentals. I'd like to just make a statement that our public forum was very, very, very well attended. We had many voices from the public, which was the purpose of the meeting, so that we could look at and see what the public felt about our long-term feeling. And when I say that, I need to say that 2 years ago, we presently on the Board of Health, your members of the Board of Health, were concerned about monitoring the septic systems / whatever other forms were being used, and also monitoring the short-term rental situation. And this was very much precipitated by the state of Massachusetts initiating both a tax and an assessment on short-term rentals in the state of Massachusetts. And as we stated last at the public forum, that other towns surrounding us on the Outer Cape have all instituted a local registration of short-term rentals in their towns. So we are pleased that we got such a reaction, both positive and negative, because now we can look at what can be tweaked on our regulations and what can't. Reviewing the purpose of our regulation, which is to maintain your water supply and your wastewater situation in a coastal community such as Wellfleet. And we are committed to that. We are mandated by the state to locally implement that, and we will continue to do so. Other parameters in the regulations we can talk about, and such as the fee, but not the components that we have instituted. So, or not all of the components that we have instituted. There are some that we can. So I don't know how we want to work this. If someone wants to speak, they can speak, or
Janet, can I just
any
say,
of the board members that would like to say anything?
yeah, Janet, can I speak just for a minute? This is Nick.
Absolutely.
Just two things. I think the responsibility for maintaining the state sanitary code, falls on the local boards of health. So we have the responsibility to make sure things with the rentals are working properly, and that the proper checklists working with the renters, as far as they'll be self-certifying, but we got to make sure things are in place. And I agree with the water assessment as far as the watershed, because as people, if they were listening, could see, we do a lot of variances, very sensitive areas of critical environmental concern. And we have to know, I think, if these places are being rented. And we need to know occupancy. I mean, throughout the year, to make sure that even with advanced systems, they can be overloaded. And we have to make sure that we're protecting the watershed areas. A lot of places are near wetlands, marshes, and coastal banks. And it's our responsibility, as you said, to make sure that we're not doing anything that's detrimental. And we can monitor that a little bit. And I think we were planning to do that, as you said, 2 years ago.
Right.
Even around the pond. So I think that's it for me.
Can I also weigh in on
Hillary?
one?
Yes, Hillary.
Yeah. I think there was some confusion, and some folks asked about what other towns were doing, and some folks said that no one else had a rental program on the Outer Cape. And so I have in front of me the programs in Eastham, Truro, and Provincetown that I can again circulate with the Board of Health. All of the towns that on the Outer Cape do have some type of rental registration program, Eastham, Truro, Provincetown. And the cost range, Provincetown is $300 for 3 years, which is $100 a year. Truro is $200 a year, and Eastham is $75 per year per unit. So, the 75 seems low, the 100 per year seems reasonable, and then Truro is at 200 a year. So there are programs all over the Outer Cape for rental registration. Some do the self-certification, and others have the inspection up front. So I think it's important too for us to remember that not all rentals are the same. So there are some that fall through the cracks that are substandard. There are others that are absolutely immaculate. And so we did get a lot of comments from people asking, well, we don't have a problem, we don't need to fix anything. But there are housing units in town that don't comply with the minimum standards for human habitation. And those are the folks we're most interested in reaching. So there is value in this program.
I just like to piggyback on something that Nick said, as he talked about our high-risk properties that are surrounded by water, etc. One of the things that we're hoping can be implemented is that our short-term rental homeowners will stress to our people who come here to rent and enjoy a vacation the importance of our water, the importance of the occupancy, the importance of treating that rental so that the town of Wellfleet can remain as beautiful and as attractive to this market of rentals. So that's got to come from the landlord / landlady who own the home, who stress to tenants, this is why this is in place, this is what's in place, please comply with that. And if not, maybe you don't come back here next year, whatever. But that's the only way we can get this situation in any way monitored and fixed up. Thank you. Gary, did you want to say anything?
No, I agree with everything that everybody's saying. This is a program that needs to be implemented, and we need to do it.
Okay.
Janet, the other thing, just to piggyback on what you were saying, I think, the renters have to let the rentees know that we do operate with wells, with septic systems, and even discuss the issue of water usage without being, driving people away, just to let them know the reality of what it's like living on the Cape, and especially in our town. So it's really working with the renters to get certain messages across to the people who are coming in, that the water is critical and can't be overused.
I don't have any hands raised, so.
Okay. Does anybody else want to make a comment in the gallery that Rebecca can call on? Mrs. Someone
No?
doesn't,
Oh, hang on one second. Rowan
Okay.
McVeigh has some.
okay.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
hi.
Yeah, I was one of the people who were the members of the general public who was in the forum last week, and I
Okay.
very much appreciate the opportunity to listen in on that and have that public comment. I think part of the fierceness of the reaction was just honestly just based out of fear. Like, we just saw these documents posted on the website. We didn't have any
Yes.
context for that. We didn't have any timeline for that. And I think the timeline part was really the biggest part, where people were like, oh, when do I have to do
Happen
this?
right now when I'm so worried with COVID, if I'm even going to be able to open. If I could just give a little bit of an explanation to that. First of all, we are an amazing species because all over the entire regulation was the big word draft. So we were hoping that people would realize that that's what it was. But secondly, I want to talk about the timing, because I think if I walk a mile in your moccasins, I think the timing would really take the rug out from under me. We were under early pressure in COVID to really look at our short-term rentals, really something that we should consider in Wellfleet in a huge pandemic, i.e. we didn't know what was happening. And we had no handle from the state or anywhere else what exactly number we were talking about. Like if we were going to say you can only rent for 2-week intervals, we had no idea how many people did that. We had no idea if we were talking about 500, 5,000, 50,000 or whatever. So the timing, I agree with you 100%, was probably at your highest stress level, and we apologize for that. But that was the COVID was the catalyst. It said, let's get on the stick here, because this is something we want to do and have wanted to do for 2 years. We have a responsibility, as Nick said. So I just wanted to answer that. So thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Anyways, what did you go to?
Anybody else?
I usually cross the jetty and go out.
Any comments? No?
I have no one with their hand raised.
I guess
Thank
I
you,
would
Yes.
suggest that we will advertise for this again
Yes.
after the summer, and continue to review the comments that came in, and make some changes as we see fit, and then we'll have a continuation of the public hearing to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
If folks from the public are interested, they can call the office or check the agendas. We generally meet the second Wednesday of every month. So you would find the agenda posted probably the Friday before the second Wednesday. So that's a way to stay in touch with what we're doing. Or obviously call.
Hurley, have we come to an agreement about how we're going to treat the Title V, the septic systems with renters?
No,
As far as
not yet. Not
We
yet.
haven't done, it's up for discussion yet, okay.
Yeah, now you can keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, do we have a COVID update?
So yeah, I don't have so much of a COVID update.
Okay.
We are actively following up on all kinds of complaints daily.
Okay,
Thank you, Billy.
Most I respond to myself. Some I allow our public health intern to respond to, because
good, good.
she's very responsive if I don't have the time, or it's one of those fine line questions where we have to actually go in and research the sector specific guidance, because those
Yes.
documents are very difficult to navigate. It's no wonder the public has 6,000 questions, because there are orders, then there's guidance, then there's best practices, and it's pretty much impossible to find what you need when you need it. So, so we deal with a lot of that every single day. And I guess one good thing that I will make you all aware of is that Barnstable County hired 2, if not 3, COVID enforcers that will be coming out to our towns to do not necessarily enforcement, but education, because we have to follow the governor's enforcement action plan, where the first step is, of course, education.
Yes.
So working with Truro, we're going to share our enforcer, and hopefully then we'll get 2 days instead of 1. And we're going to have these people rove from the beaches to the ponds, to the Marina Walkway, and to the rec fields, because that's where we seem to be getting the most complaints about mask wearing, people walking the wrong way. So I think that will be the most beneficial use of their time in our towns. If anybody has any other ideas for where you want to send them, reach out, and I'm happy to send them elsewhere as well. But I think that's a good start, and they'll get at a bulk of the people there. One is a retired fire chief, one is a retired police officer, and one is, I think, a retired health agent. So they're good quality people to be out in this role. They have experience. So we're looking forward to getting them on board. So coming very soon.
Good. Okay.
Is Suzanne is not available?
Suzanne's here. She will
okay.
talk to us about what she observed.
Okay.
The situation at Cahoon Hollow came to a head on Saturday, the 4th of July. We had seen very little social distancing and or mask wearing at Cahoon Hollow up to that point, despite the signs and the recommendations and whatever it's out there. But it became dangerous on the 4th of July. It resulted in a brawl between 2 different groups of beachgoers. The entire staff of the Wellfleet PD was called in. The Cape Cod National Seashore Rangers were there. The fire department was there. Approximately 40 to 60 people were escorted off the beach, told to go home and not come back. So the number of people on the beach is a direct function of how many buses offload people and how many taxis offload people and how many people walk into the beach. And I know that in previous years, I have asked the town council about not permitting it just because it's a safety issue. And they say that we can't stop legally licensed vehicles on public roads from doing what they want to do. So I was wondering if it could be framed as a health issue, public health issue, especially in this season of COVID-19, about not allowing any walk-ons onto the beaches. And that would not just be Cahoon Hollow, it would be all the ocean beaches.
Walk-ons or drop-offs? Is that what you're saying?
Drop-offs and then they walk on, because they're not allowed to go down. They get dropped off at the head of the access road. They don't get dropped off by the beach itself.
Okay. Can I comment, Suzanne? I had thought that was, this is Nick. Yeah, this is Nick. I had thought that was the original plan as far as limiting walk-offs. That was the whole intention of cutting back, say, 25% of the parking spots at Newcomb Hollow. So I'll just speak to Newcomb Hollow. And that after that, the beach would technically be filled. And unless someone left, no one could come in after that. So I thought that was the original plan, because to offload busloads of people defeats the whole purpose of limiting exposure on the beach.
I agree with you. And it's working to all intents and purposes at LeCounts and Newcomb Hollow. Whitecrest is never full anyway. There's a bigger beach there, so that's a moot point. But the density of population at Cahoons is my big concern.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is from a health perspective, I think there's a case that could be made. Judging from what I saw the pictures looking like from New Cahoon over the weekend, there was
scary.
a lot of intense congregation. I mean, there were a lot of people there.
Yeah,
and I think from a health perspective, it wasn't healthy, obviously. And I think with COVID as a backdrop, I think we want to make sure they socially distance. They want 12 feet apart between you got to enforce that somehow. And the other thing I think that can happen at Cahoon's, I mean, if you had an officer stationed at the top, there's only a ramp going down, and check, are you carrying cases of beer down there? Technically, are you supposed to be drinking on the beach? I know Cahoon, there would have been an uproar on 4th of July.
Right,
But
well,
they
you're
can-
not allowed to look in coolers. That's a First Amendment right.
Well, you can ask. I mean, you can just ask, are you bringing, and you can ask, and at the same time, mention to people, listen, we're going to make, you got to be socially distant. Something before they walk down, you stop them for a minute and give them, because the signs, they're small print, people aren't even reading them, I don't think. But I think,
I agree with you.
What's the story with Suzanne? You said that you're not allowed to look in coolers?
No, not allowed to look in coolers.
Well, we do at the Oyster Fest every year.
It's a different thing, though, I think.
It's a private group where we are a municipality.
I think they were looking in coolers.
Beachcomber is
in
not a
Dennis.
private group?
That's a private group. But if the town of Wellfleet Police are at the head of the lot, then they're acting for the municipality. Dennis tried to do a cooler enforcement the year before last, and they were sued and was successful in court, and they stopped looking
Okay.
at coolers.
Wow.
Right.
I'm just using that as my
Yeah,
most
I would use,
recent-
I would use that as a yardstick
Criteria?
also. Thank
yeah,
you.
that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Duly noted.
yeah, exactly.
I
That's why I
understand.
say it.
I withdraw the
Thank you.
suggestion.
Yeah. Good
Question,
suggestion, Nick. Yeah.
Well, I just a thought,
are
but I
we
think-
only talking about banning buses, not car drop-offs, or?
Well, I have heard some concern from some of the lifeguards at Newcomb Hollow that people are being dropped off, but I think mostly it's a function of the people wait in line and their passengers get out and walk down to the beach against the time that the line will finally move and the person driving will be able to park and join them. So I don't think we have a large number of drop-offs at the north and the south end at LaCounce or Newcomb Hollow. But there is that line piece. And the beach is really narrow at Newcomb Hollow.
Well,
this
yeah,
year.
and say at
Yeah.
high tide, it's not much beach. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it happens like, yeah.
So would the proposal be to ban all drop-offs?
I think that if we single out buses, we're going to be more liable to be pigeonholed, accused of pigeonholing a certain class and not allowing it. So I think all drop-offs.
Hose slabs, I guess.
Do we? I think David is still on. He's still not.
Yep.
He's not.
He hasn't left us, yeah.
Are we concerned about McGuire Landing though? Not allowing any walk-ons or drop-offs there?
Well, I'm not sure about that because the Michael DeVasto has been, I saw him on Facebook saying this is only for vehicles. You can get dropped off and walk into the beach. So this would have to be coordinated with the Board of Selectmen. But I'm coming to you as a board first because I'm concerned about the density of the population
Right.
and the danger of being that close to people.
Yeah.
without social
You're right,
distancing.
Suzanne. We need to do something.
Yeah,
We need
so
to do-
Right.
you're the guys that know the most about this and have the most authority in this time.
I have,
Hillary.
Jude has
Hillary.
raised her hand when you're ready to recognize her.
I have a couple.
Let's
couple
talk to the
thoughts.
members first.
Yeah, I
Hillary-
think Nick, yes, Nick.
No, I was going to ask you, as far as the full buses, aren't they supposed to be just 50% or is that not anymore?
Buses are not permitted to be at full capacity, so that is
Exactly.
a problem.
My understanding was these buses were packed.
Yeah, that's,
I mean,
that's,
that's one thing
That's
that-
my understanding as well, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's an issue that can be addressed legally, I think, as per the governor's orders, or
Sure.
maybe it's a mandate, whatever, but, full buses, wherever these places are coming
it's like
from, they're loading
finding
them up.
the bus guidance. I haven't read bus guidance yet.
I'm just wondering, I don't think they're supposed to be packed. I think it's 50%
No,
up.
they're absolute. I am 100% sure that a bus is not allowed to be packed. I am 100% sure, despite the fact that I have not found or read bus guidance yet. I
Yeah,
am
well, wait, maybe
100%
maybe
sure.
that's a little loophole as far as trying to get the, if the buses come packed, well, keep going or something. I don't know.
I
Right.
guess,
Or we take down their name. What bus company is
That's what I'm
sending
saying.
buses to Cahoon
well,
Hollow?
I've heard it was Cape Destination, so it's
Okay.
on my list of.
Well,
to
that'd be good.
follow.
We can at least have a contact there. Okay.
We do, we do.
Yep. Okay.
I guess, what about the folks that live in the area that walk onto the beach, that don't drive there?
That's right. That's right. I
mean,
mean,
I
I've
don't-
seen them at McGuire Landing.
I just need some help. If we can do just banning buses dropping
Yes,
off or vehicles for hire. I mean, we might just, I would also be comfortable with saying no vehicles for hire may drop people off at the Wellfleet beaches. That means grandma, who's got her 17-year-old for the summer, can drive up and drop him off without penalty, but a bus or even a half a bus load of people would not be allowed to.
Does it make
Okay.
sense to say that folks dropping off people need a beach sticker?
I think that if we had someone to check that each time, yes.
Okay, Suzanne, I have another question. So this is totally the municipality of Wellfleet's responsibility, even though with Cahoon Hollow, even though the beachcomber is the
It's correct,
beachcomber,
correct.
right? So it's not anybody else but Wellfleet first, then Seashore, then beachcomber. Okay, is that true?
To the best of my understanding,
Okay,
that's true.
great. Got it. Well,
And I'm pretty sure that, especially now where the beachcomber is doing outside food service and not allowing people in at the bar and not allowing, I don't think they're doing any inside right now. Hillary, am I correct?
They may be doing some inside at this point because that is permitted. I'm just not sure. Mostly they were doing takeout.
Right, and they don't want, I don't think that it's gaining them any business to have hundreds and hundreds of people dropped off. I did forward Hillary the email. We got a letter from the abutter, the woman that's building the platform house just to the north of the Cahoon Hollow access road, about the poor behavior of because for safety reasons, we have always had the buses pull up beyond to the north of the Cahoon Hollow entrance over to the side to load and offload so that people aren't milling around in the middle of Ocean View Drive. And now that she's building a house there, she objects to the public urination mostly.
Well,
And the exposed genitals. as
Surprise, surprise.
Can't blame her.
No, it's not attractive. So,
so Suzanne, we haven't have we hired anyone extra in our beach department to implement some of these situations in COVID? Or we just
We
have
have
to
not.
We have not. Okay.
Is it possible, Hillary, to maybe institute a temporary suspension of the drop-offs by hired companies or whatever?
Yeah.
Would that be something, maybe just a temporary suspension?
so I think what I would recommend is that you take a vote. I've asked Dan if I could talk to town council about this. I think we need some legal guidance on whether we can legally do this or not. But we're not scheduled to meet again until August, and by then,
It's going to be over.
it's too late. So we can vote today, or we can, once I hear back from town council, we can schedule another meeting to talk about this with their guidance. So
I think Suzanne needs support now. So I would vote for voting today and supporting her with the board.
I agree.
I agree also. And I think that whole notion of it, as Gary said, a temporary ban will give us time to sort of sort it out a little bit maybe. But in the meantime, don't have the buses pouring in.
Yeah,
I think the language of hired, I think the language of the hired hauler or whatever carrier.
Yeah, hired hauler. I like that, Gary.
What are they? Suzanne knows what
A hired hauler.
Cars for hire.
In Wellfleet, their bylaw language, they're referred to vehicles for hire.
Vehicles
Okay.
for hire, there you go.
It used
sounds
to be
so
the
much nicer.
taxi bylaw, but then with Uber and Lyft and bus companies, it was changed under Harry Turkanian to be vehicles for hire.
It sounds much nicer, Dan, right?
Much more
Now,
professional.
what's gonna happen if a bus shows up? Who's gonna be there to say no go?
Mark Spiegel, who's a special police officer
Okay, very
in
good.
this, and whose area is Ocean View Drive. And it's really only a
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday problem. It's
No,
not.
exactly. I mean,
7
it's more to
days
the
a week.
weekends. Exactly. I was just
Yeah,
wondering about
it's a
the stuff on
weekend.
the weekend. Right, I agree.
So, and it's gonna rain
Temporary-
this weekend, so we should luck
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
So do
So,
we,
and I think holding off on walk-ons and drop-offs, just because there could be all kinds of unforeseen backlash from that.
Exactly,
especially
and
at McGuire
unforeseen
Landing-
consequences. I totally.
Well, we
agree.
Especially
can't-
at McGuire Landing.
Unloading
We
of
can't
buses.
have what happened.
Right.
No,
We can't have
no.
that happen again.
And
It's
so
for
that's
health
the
reasons.
vehicle. That's the
And
vehicle.
We were really lucky this 4th, and 4th of July is the very, very epicenter worst of the summer. However, it doesn't mean that's still not a partial issue other times of the summer.
Right.
And I don't want to just say, well, the 4th's over and won't happen again
No,
for
no.
a year, because we were very lucky that as far as I understand it, there was a young guy climbing up the dune and the lifeguards whistled him down. And he came down, but the people who were up on the top of the dune, by the trail coming down, took exception to him
Yeah.
climbing on the dune, so they started throwing bottles at him.
Beer bottles.
And then his friends took exception to that, and then fists started flying. So
Right.
nobody was injured, nobody was transported, and nobody was arrested, which is probably a miracle.
Amazing.
But I don't.
Right.
It makes me so nervous. It makes me nervous for my lifeguards. It makes me nervous for everybody.
Absolutely.
The
Can I
the other thing that happened, they actually had set up a tent for a urination purposes on the beach.
Nice.
That's what I heard from a couple of the lifeguards, that there was, I think there was a picture taken and there was a big circle around it. A big green tent was set up for everybody to go in there. I assume it's just for urination, but it was a bathroom, supposedly a bathroom on the beach.
did anybody think to call the health agent or?
I was unaware of the urination tent until this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
I
according
think
to the
we-
lifeguards, you can ask a couple of the lifeguards. I know Mike made comment, Mike Benson, Adriana, my daughter, will comment about it. She had sent us a picture with a big circle around it, a
Oh
green
my
tent.
God.
Well, I'll text Adriana and ask her to send.
You can
me a
ask her about that if that's
Yeah,
confirmed.
I will.
You know, so also, aside from us taking a vote today, I think I'd like to leave Suzanne definitely with the feeling that she can call us at any time and we can re-meet and re-vote and re-support her in this, because if this first intervention doesn't work, she's right, we have to do something, you know? We
Agreed.
may be given a
Full
week's
support of the
reprieve
board.
because of the weekend and that,
Yep.
but that has to be done, so.
Can I just jump in for 1 second?
Sure.
Are we voting to ban buses and cars for hire with approval from town council? Because, or do you want to just
Yes.
do it without?
Yes, yeah.
approval?
But-
Okay.
but
What you
have-
just
but you
said.
have our vote,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, because I do think it's important that we can legally do this. And
right.
if we can't legally do it, then we need to be prepared to reach out to the bus companies and somehow have this discussion with them
Right.
and figure out ways to let
And-
them know we will turn them away if they're not following the guidance from the governor, and they will not be permitted to drop anyone off.
And
Will you be
can
able
we-
to get town council straight away? Would that be?
Well, I've reached out to Dan. It all depends
Okay,
on how quickly Dan gets back to me and.
I
but
think Hillary,
it's in motion.
if they realize the urgency of it from our perspective as a health issue, maybe
Yeah.
that'll move them along.
Would it be worth calling asking some of these bus companies and such to come in and talk with us?
I think that's a very good idea as well.
There
So
you
they
go,
can
Carrie.
explain to us what happened. Do we want to then look at our calendars and pick a meeting date? Maybe like, what's today? Today is the 8th. Maybe like a week from
next week.
today?
A
Yes.
week, that would
Right.
be, that would be fine.
Fine with
then
me.
Hopefully I can get back to Dan and let him know I have a deadline with the Board of Health. We need to make a decision. We want to
Right,
make sure
good.
we're making legal decisions, and we don't want this to go on too long. And at the same time, we can call, I believe it was Cape Destinations and the Funk Bus who we've had complaints about. Suzanne, anyone else?
Not to my knowledge. Last summer, when the parking committee was keeping statistics, I believe 92% of the vehicles for hire came from either one of those two companies.
Okay, good. Well, that's good
So
data to have. Yeah.
We'll reach out to them and call them and tell them we're having a meeting on such and such a
Next
date.
week.
And we need them to be present in order to move forward with drop-offs in our town.
Exactly. I think that's a great
Right there.
idea.
And then we can ask them what their COVID plans are and how they're maintaining sanitation on their buses.
Right.
And how they're keeping distance on the vehicle and loading it and unloading it.
Right.
And all of that stuff.
And the capacity that they're filling to.
Yeah, that was what I was going to talk about is the
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
still have
will
Jude's
move-
hand raised, Janet, just so you know.
Okay. All right, let's hear before we make the motion. Yes, Jude?
I was just going to say, as you said at the end there, that there was that whole committee that, talked about the issue of the drop-offs. Yes, it was pre-COVID, but, I'm not sure everyone listened to those. I personally didn't, and that officer is a wealth of information. But the owners of the Beachcomber, I mean, you said it was a miracle that nobody got arrested. What it was a gift to the Beachcomber that nobody got arrested. So if they have any pushback, it's not like, oh, next time we'll start to, no, that was it. That was it. 60-something people, no arrests, fights, throwing bottles. Where are those bottles coming from? How many of those were Beachcomber patrons versus, people who just came on a bus to go to the beach that day? These are interesting stats. So, I hope that this is shared with the attorney, because we've been talking about this for months. I'm sure in those Tuesday morning meetings, this came up. I know Dan, the manager of the Beachcomber, has been, saying, oh, they're going to be on top of this. Well, look what happened. So that was a gift. That wasn't a miracle. It was a gift from the Wellfleet Police Department to the Beachcomber. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Thank you, Jude.
Well said.
Okay, Gary, you want to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we institute a temporary ban of for-hire drop-offs at the ocean beaches till after Labor Day,
As of now.
starting now as of till Labor Day.
That's vehicles for hire, yes. Good.
I think we want to phrase that with approval from town council.
With yes, please, yes, add that, yes.
And I second.
Like COVID.
Need to call a vote, Janet, or no?
Oh, yeah, sure. All in favor? Thanks, Nick.
That's quite all right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All not in favor? No one. Okay, so we have 3.
You're not.
Okay. Anything else, Hillary, on our COVID update? I just want to say that the McGuire Landing, there's very little mask wearing by anyone up and down the dunes at the beach or getting out of their cars or anything. So FYI.
I just wanted to report back. I had a question from a member of the board about the bookstore, the bomb shelter. So the bomb shelter is open. They are operating as a restaurant. They're actually serving the full menu of the bookstore. So it's not operating as a bar. It's providing more seating for bookstore patrons. And the doors are open, the windows are open. They have as much ventilation as they can get. Folks are 6 feet apart, party to party, and they have put 2 additional tables outside there to accommodate a few more people. But the main function is feeding, not drinking. So
Okay, and it is ventilated, and I know that the Governor Baker's guideline is very vague. So
yes,
just because it's
yeah.
ventilated.
The
Thank you,
other,
Helen.
of course.
Thank you.
The other thing that I think we're gonna start to see maybe are some events, weddings, that sort of thing. I had a nice long talk today with Barbara and Tia at CYCC about how best to move forward, because they can have an event with up to 100 people, but our discussion was mainly involved around how to keep their staff safe. So instead of mingling and cocktail partying, it's sit-down dinner style. So don't be
Okay.
surprised if you see events beginning to pop up as well.
Okay. Good.
That's going on. The only last thing is, as far as meeting days and times, next Wednesday, the 15th, I have a CONSCOM meeting in the evening. Well, it starts at 4. I know Jed is having a really difficult time meeting with us in the afternoon. Gary, I know you're back to work too.
Yes.
I don't know what to do.
I have FinCom next Wednesday at 7, just to give you a heads up.
I think we
do we have
should-
anything
if-
on Tuesday or Thursday? Do we do that? I mean, it's an emergency meeting.
Yeah, no, I could do Tuesday and I could do Thursday. It's just not a regular day, and that's
Yeah.
fine with me. We would have enough time to post for Tuesday, and Dan has given me approval to talk to town council, so I'm pecking off to them now. And
Wonderful.
hopefully I can tell them we're planning a meeting for Tuesday, so the sooner they get back to me, the better.
Tuesday at 5?
Can we do
That's-
5:30? Because I have Board of Water Commissioners at
Sure.
4.
Tuesday,
Perfect.
5:30 is fine.
Perfect, Rebecca. Thank you. Thank you,
Sure.
What
Rebecca.
time, can I just ask what time the Board of Selectmen meet on that day? Because I,
Let me just double check. I think it's
Oh, yeah.
7 as well.
okay, because I have to attend that too.
Is that a problem for you, Hillary?
No, as long as the times don't
Okay.
overlap.
Okay, good.
I don't think Board of Health will be long if we're just.
No,
talking
Yeah, our
correct.
meeting,
One topic.
it shouldn't be a long meeting.
Right.
And you're just discussing the hired cars, hired
Yes.
vehicles? Okay, hired cars.
Vehicles for hire.
Buses and vehicles for hire. Yeah.
Right.
COVID update.
Okay, great, great.
I think we should be specific in the agenda that it's buses and vehicles for hire, so that
Okay.
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
some mysterious thing that we're doing without
Secretly, right.
transparency.
Yes,
Right.
good, good. Thank you.
I just
We
wrote
don't-
that down.
Yeah, we don't want to prevent grandma from dropping the kids off.
Right, okay. All right, anything else anybody has? If not, we'll take the rest of the day. Do what we need to do. Thank you all so very much. Thank you to the public for coming, and thank you the Board of Health.
Thank you,
Thank
Janet.
you. This
And
meeting,
motion to
Janet.
close,
Motion.
second.
second,
All in favor? Me?
aye, aye.
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 Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Have
you,
a good
Rebecca.
day.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
I'll see you next
Bye.
week. Bye.
Okay, bye.